Razor Cave Nightmare can be sub 2, and if you have seen how we did it with Deng Devs, well, it's kind of the same thing. We are going to do the double death strat that is used in the sub 3. That means the tank dies first. Here, however, you want the tank to die at around 350 to 348, so much sooner than earlier because you are using Jaded and it's easier for the DPS to get to the death spot. And once you're at the spot, you actually have one of the DPS using Whistle that will whistle and get all the mobs on them much faster, and this faster death allows a bit of a time save. Then while they're dead, we're just gonna take a look at the tank POV. So you're playing Jaded because you want to die faster than Toothpick on your first death, and also, it might sound weird, but Jaded is much easier to handle the mobs with than a Toothpick, because with a Toothpick you would have went one healing gadget plus Dagger, but Dagger has a 10-second cooldown and Jaded cooldown is way less than that, plus you can use 2 healing gadgets. The only thing that is important is that you 6-pack the Frost Chargers. These are the ones that kill your runs. And once you get to this part where you see this flower, if you die after this part, you should be fine. The mobs should not come back to your teammates. Just in case, go to spawn. Coming back on the DPS, we're gonna take a look at all 3 of them because they're all doing slightly different things. You have a Whistler, and then 2 DPS. We'll talk about the Whistler later because it's very specific what he's going to do. Tiger will be the one placing the first pew that will block the boss, so he does not use it here. And so HGT could have used his pew here to help kill the Snouters. As you can see, Wasim totally ignored them and straight went for the boss room. We will look at what he does later on. And in the meantime, the 2 DPS just want to kill all the Snouters as fast as possible, and also, of course, without dying. And then, since Tiger is the first one to place, you're gonna see him get into position. So what he does is that he's looking in diagonal bottom right, and he's shooting so that he doesn't get on his right. And now he's looking for a very specific spot. He's looking at the green circle underneath him, and he wants the bottom of that circle to touch the top edge of the tile. It is that precise, I know. But this is the perfect spot to stuck the boss. And now that he is in position, he will not move at all. So the boss goes through, he can place his pew, and now that it's in position, the boss will be stuck. It's important now that Tiger does not move, so that his teammates can perfectly place themselves on top of him, so that their pew can also stuck the boss. So now let's take a look at the Whistler. Once you respawn, you want to Jaded ult a Snouter and then dash and dagger in the boss room. Reuse your Jaded ult on the middle egg so that you trigger all of them, then get to safety. The boss doesn't have much RNG. 80% of the time it will follow you into Spitfire, into 360 Fire, into Charge Swallow. And this is exactly what you want. The other 20% of the time, random shit is happening. So as soon as the eggs explode, you whistle, then Jaded ult and dagger away, wait in the middle of the bridge, and come back into the boss room once the boss has crossed this line. Get right in front of it so that the fire from the spit attack doesn't go on the bridge. That way you are also making sure that the next 2 attacks are 360 Fire and Charge into Swallow. Here, Pocketer back is a must as it saves a whole tick of fire to be able to survive. Jaded out and wait just before the end of the bridge during the 360 Fire attack. The boss finally charges on you, and you can use a last dash while your teammate places pew. You want to use your pew now every 10 seconds. Usually what we did is that the first pew was placed at 343, so the next one would be at 333 and then 323. Every 10 seconds so that when Tiger's pew is back on cooldown, he can just use it instantly. And that way you always have a pew to get the boss stuck. Now, it is quite tight DPS wise to get the sub 2. And actually, this run is not even a sub 2. The reason I showed it is because this is what will happen in most of your runs, if not all of your runs. In our sub 2 run, you will see that the boss does the Spitfire attack, but doesn't do the 360 Fire. It actually skips it and instantly charges and Swallow, which makes it being in position 5 to 6 seconds sooner, and Tiger places his turret at 349, 348 instead of 343, and this is mainly the reason why it was so fast. In fact, this run was kind of scuffed because the pew placements were not perfect, and so the boss even managed to escape and they had to finish it by going into the boss room and fighting it melee range. It worked out in the end. We got multiple runs in the 200s using the strat I've showed you before. But yeah, I at least had to show this run to prove that the sub 2 was possible. A big shout out to my teammates, Wasim, Tiger, and HGT. An even bigger thank you to Tiger for the DPS point of view. And when it comes to the builds, we first have a jaded tank, as I said, jaded to have much more mobility. Now you go full tank because you really don't want to die from the mobs, especially the snouters. One whistler that also uses pocket airbag. We have seen why. The pew to get the boss stuck, and the dagger because he actually needs it to dash away. So it's kind of a utility build because he doesn't really have the choice. And since he's using this specific build, we have noticed that damage ring actually deals more damage than a weapon ring. There has been a lot of tests going through that, so you can trust HGT cooking that way. And then unstable beam and unstable laser having more DPS than any other passive combination. And then to DPS having a full damage build. You need the dagger to dash, but you also need it to deal damage to the boss, so that's perfect. You need Pew to deal damage and Pew to stuck the boss. That's also perfect. RCS obviously better than Vitamin with this build, and then Unstable Beam and Laser as well with the chickens. The rings this time, Weapon Ring does more damage than Damage Ring because mainly of the RCS. And now that Razor Cave has been done, there is one last rift on the list that we need to sub to. Finally over with chapter 2, I would say, but it's not so close yet. I hope this video at least helped you, and I'll see you in the next one.